Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Monday, August 4th, 2025. I, of course, am here with your daily mortgage rate update. Happy Monday. Good morning, y'all. It's another new week. What do we got in store? We're going to talk about it. We're going to go over what's the economic calendar for the week, talk about the unfortunate firing of the BLS lead statistician there. Kind of funny on that. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And of course, we'll talk about what's going on with rates and pricing, where things are at, and the wonders of trying to forecast the market. So remember, you can join me live each and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, each weekday as we talk about what's going on with rates and pricing. Broadcasting to you on YouTube and on Facebook. If you're here this morning, say good morning and appreciate you. And if you're on the replay, go ahead and just give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Always appreciate you doing that, whether you're live or on the replay. Don't forget to smash the like button. If you're on Facebook, give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and maybe tag an originator friend. Make sure you leave a comment. Comments certainly help our engagement. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. If you would like a quick reminder that I'm going live, we send out a text alert reminder that I'm going live each morning. So it's got the link. You don't have to depend on the platforms to notify you that I am here. So it's hmmr.io/reminder or use this cool QR code over here. Also, each morning we send out an email version of the lock advice. If you would like that, you can feel free to use it any way you want. Ron Siegel throws it into ChatGPT and says, make some sense out of this that would make it better. And then he uses it with his people. So you can do that too. GreatLockAdvice.com. Also, if you'd like to check out our text alert service, I'm not throwing shade at anybody. Everything's getting more expensive, but I've noticed a lot of the live alerts services are raising their prices or very expensive. MBS Highway has a lot of tools, and sometimes you don't want all those tools. And again, great services, but if you just want something simple, let you know what's going on with the markets and help you protect your pipeline, send you a reprice worse, notification before they hit the rail lines there. Go ahead and check us out at raytextalerts.com. So enough of the selling. Let's get to the good stuff, y'all, and see how you are doing today. Let me look at the chat. A QR code will not turn off. There we go. Okay. Let me look at the chat. Who we got here this morning? Good morning, Amy Blauser, Thomas Sloan. Great to have you here. Nicole Semerad, Tim Klyla, Taylor Henry, Candido Diaz, Deb Dixon, Angela Walters, Mallory Fotiadis. Good morning, all. Rob Stewart, Yasmin Martin, Mike Brown, Julie Lawrence, Sean Segalov, Jerry Avila, Michael Love. Ron Siegel said today is a National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. Dude, that is chocolate chip cookies, just the old standard, especially the soft ones. What's your favorite cookie, y'all? What's your favorite cookie? And if it's chocolate chip cookie, do you like soft or crunchy? That's the question of the day for you. So how do you like your cookies? What's your favorite cookie? And if what is your favorite? And tell me a little bit about it. Store brand or homemade? Tell me about it. So my favorite cookie, I'm going with believe it or not, those chewy Chips Ahoy ones. They're probably terrible stuff in there to make them soft, but I like that from the ones that are made at home when they're like that. So that is my thing. That's what I would like. So y'all tell me what your favorite cookie is, and we'll come back to that. All right. While you guys are answering that, let's go ahead and talk about where we're at, what's going on this morning. Oh, it didn't come up on the bottom. Hold on. Let me fix that. So we're going to undo his chat. We're going to throw this up on the bottom. There you are. So that is the question of the day. What is your favorite cookie? And tell me all about it. So while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you all about what's going on with the happy world of mortgage-backed securities. Currently up a couple of basis points, a single basis point if you're to be believed at the moment. But remember, look at what happened Friday. Friday, right here, boom, straight up with that jobs data. And then it improved through the day, which the big deal here is that we did not see a pullback. I was expecting, I was expecting that we would see some sort of pullback this morning. The fact that we have seen nothing in regards to pullbacks is pretty amazing to me. It shows that there is a very firm trend shift and momentum shift, and that momentum shift will be in our favor. So you want to go ahead and continue floating loans. Take a look at the 10-year treasury yield. Look at this straight line down. Remember, when it comes to the 10-year treasury yield, right now we're at 4.22. The 10-year treasury yield, we want that to go down. That actually gives us a smiley face. It's the opposite of mortgage-backed security pricing. Pricing, we want to go up. Yields, we want that to go down. And the fact on Friday right here, this candlestick, this green candlestick, we started up high. Let's go ahead and we'll move this to there you go. When it comes to the candlesticks, the body is the thick part and the thick part. And if it's red, it means we started higher. And actually, because this is the 10-year, it means that we started lower and we went up on the day. If it's green, we started higher and we went down on the day. All right. So this is all great. You're definitely going to be seeing that. Now, Friday, you would have definitely have seen, what happened to Mortgage News Daily? Is it really down? Oh, looks like they're cited. Anyone else, Mortgage News Daily? Anyone else have, it looks like they might be having some technical problems. Is it just me? Or does anyone else have that? Anyway, I want to let that throw me off to mortgagenewsdaily.com. Let's see if their site comes up. The site's not loading for me. Forgive me. I got to just take a sip. All right. So anyway, back to what we were talking about here. It was, look at this chart down here at the bottom when we do this on the 5-day. Look at how, let me bring this up a little bit for you here. Look at that. Look at where we were. It was just, we were up and down just a little, and we were this was not good. It was not looking good going into the jobs data. We were losing ground, and then boom, and then it's skyrocketed. You can also see how that has played out in expectations of a rate cut. Remember that the September rate cut, it doesn't even reflect accurately in the comparison because it was a short window of time, and it doesn't show up here. But remember that the idea of a rate cut in September had basically pushed off the table. It was down below 40%, down below 30%. Now markets are fully pricing in the idea that we're going to see the first rate cut in September. For those of you that didn't catch it on Friday, the reason we've seen such a shift in momentum that's good for mortgage rates is because of the Friday jobs data, the data that we got on Friday that showed it wasn't just the fact that there were only 73,000 new jobs created, which is a low number. The expectations were for about 100,000. So that obviously is lower than what was expected. It was the revisions. And when we looked at the revisions from the previous months, we had gone from 100, like here, let's see, BLS. Let's see if I pull up the right one. Nope. Hold on. Let me just get this full screen so I can see BLS revisions chart. See if I pull up. All right. So take a look here at, is this the QC quarterly census of employment and wages? These are 2024. Where's 2025? All right. This isn't the right one. We want, no, that's the, sorry, y'all. I was hoping to have, I've had this up before. I can't find it real quick. But anyway, bottom line, we went from like 147,000 to either 14 or 19,000. The change was dramatic. I mean, huge. And that's why, first of all, Trump doesn't like anything that doesn't fit his narrative. So how many of y'all think that Trump fired the head of the BLS because he didn't like the number? I think it's more than that. He's talking about the revisions and the fact that we know that there's some revisions, but where the revisions were they're just huge. How do you go from 147,000 down to 19 or 14,000? How do you go from 173 to 19,000 or 14,000? These revisions, like, you're not talking some fine editing. Normally what happens is you get the data and they revise it twice. They'll revise it over the next 2 months. And I don't know how they gather all the data and why there's these revisions, but okay, fine. Some revisions, some fine tuning, not hundreds of percents different like that, though. Absolutely huge difference. So they're trying to make it that this is about politics because the woman that was replaced, Erica McEntherfer, was appointed by Trump. I don't think it was a political thing, though, but we could argue that it was because the numbers were strong during Biden's term, and we said they were stronger than they should be. And then, but then, why did they revise lower? Why were they come out strong here? So Trump didn't like the number. He said, I mean, there's people that are sticking up for the whole department. How are you off that far? I mean, again, within a 10% variance, but you're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of percent. Something is really wrong. And there, the effect that they have on markets is this, and this is just bonds and the 10-year treasury yield. This doesn't even account for what they're doing to the stock market and the effect it has there. So anyway, kind of bringing this thing home, expectations, you're going to see rate sheets continue to improve a little bit. Next week, we've got the CPI inflation data. It's on the 12th. So we've got, about a week until we see that. Let's take a look at the economic calendar this week together. We'll go over that. Let me pull that over for you, and we'll take a look at this together. So this week on the economic calendar, today there's really nothing. You've got total vehicle sales, factory orders. That's nothing. Tomorrow you're going to get some PMI data that will show a little bit of movement, especially if it shows any kind of weakness in the economy. And that's really kind of all there is. You're going to see some Fed speeches this week. They're going to be talking, Bowman again, Saturday. That's on Saturday, but Bowman, Mickey made a big about face, and I think that's a political thing. I think Bowman thinks she's got a shot at Fed chair. And Waller, I think, is the one that's got the highest shot at Fed chair. Hopefully he keeps it in-house. That's the other big headline I didn't talk about is Trump does have this. He now has to name a new Fed governor, not a new Fed chair, a new Fed governor. And because one of the governors did quit, and I think it was a little sooner than what was expected. The president said he had a couple of people in mind for the role that opened up after Adriana Kugler announced Friday she would vacate her board of governor seat, which wasn't due to expire until January. So I don't know if there's any behind the scenes pressure that happened there or why she made that move. But as it says here, the exit handed Trump sooner than anticipated opportunity to appoint a governor who more closely aligns with his preference for lower interest rates. Now, it's, does this open the door to bring somebody from the outside in as a governor and then nominate them as the next Fed chair? Again, I'd like to see somebody that's currently in the Fed. I'd like to see Waller. And then here is the woman from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that was replaced. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one because I feel like they need to do a better job. And she's in charge of the organization. So therefore she's, the one that's got to take responsibility. But I don't feel it was truly political. I don't feel like they're trying to go against Trump. But I also, if he puts somebody in, this is not really great for us if he does put somebody in that's willing to play ball. And a lot of the Trump appointees are willing to play ball. Mike said small revisions all the time. Plus, don't forget downward adjustment of 818,000 jobs for March 20. Yeah, they do a once a year adjustment. Normally, it was around 400,000, so it was double. It was double normal. So yeah, you're right on that, Mike. Do you guys think that somebody that Trump puts in will see the numbers under a rosy microscope and we'll see higher and stronger labor market? Because remember something. I don't know if Trump wants to see a stronger labor market so that he can crow about how wonderful the labor market is under Trump, or does he able to play chess and see the big picture and realize the Fed's not going to be cutting rates and has no incentive to cut rates if the labor market shows a lot of strength? So I'm kind of torn on this. If you were going to get somebody that was gonna manipulate the data or to interpret it in a political slant or seasonal adjustments are only done once a year. At least they're supposed to only be done once a year. So I don't see how, but I'm curious to see how this plays out. Strong labor market stuff is not necessarily conducive to lower mortgage rates. Weak labor market, as we saw, gives us much better mortgage rate scenarios. So you're going to see rate sheets that are much better. I don't regret locking ahead of that data because we didn't know how the data was going to come in. And that's the bottom line. Those revisions are really what made the big difference in my mind. I've heard other people, I know they didn't get that idea from me, but after I said it, I've heard other people that have said it. So I feel like that's a kind of like a confirmation to me, that other people see it the same way that I see it with that same thing. Ron said seasonal adjustments are done every month, but they take them out once a year. Yeah, but no, the algorithm, Ron, the algorithm where that they come up with for the actual adjustments is done once a year. That I do remember. So Sean said, bingo, his ego is blocking his goal. Weak labor market helps him get Fed rate cuts. And remember, Trump wants the Fed to cut 3%, which, if they did gradually, it would definitely spur the economy. But it would have to be done over time. It can't be done quickly. And then the problem is that when we do get to true weakness, where is the neutral level? So a lot's going to ride on next week's CPI data. And Ron, you and I go back and forth on this. The tariff stuff is definitely making its way, but I don't think it's necessarily making its way into consumer inflation. I think a lot of it is that companies are paying for this. Like even Harley Davidson. Harley is replacing their CEO, and they said that tariffs are going to cost them $85 million this year for Harley Davidson. So, I mean, I think a lot of the companies, how much of that are the companies going to absorb and how much can they pass along? When it comes to Harley, their sales are down because disposable income is down. The economy is getting harder for people. So how much of that can they really try to put into the bikes? What they'll do is they'll probably sell more clothing. The price will go up on some of the clothing stuff. So I think that's where you see, but it's definitely there. So, but as far as the actual numbers come, we'll get that CPI inflation data next week, and if that number does not show some serious increase in inflation, I think we're going to see expectations of rate cuts. Right now, there's an expectation for September. By the time we get to December, markets are look at this. They're pricing it right now. We're at 4.25. This would be one rate cut. This would be two rate cuts. Markets are looking at pricing in 3 rate cuts, and that would gain momentum. That we would see that. Now, again, when the Fed cuts rates, it's not going to lower mortgage rates. Expectations of Fed rate cuts does help mortgage rates. So we've talked about that before. When we get to September, and we're not going to see mortgage rates drop in September. We're going to see mortgage rates drop. Now, this is very similar to what we saw. Unfortunately, Mortgage News Daily shows how much I love their service. I can't show you the chart here, but if we use Optimal Blue, let's turn off these. You could take a look going back to, let's see, a year. Here we go. So you can go back to September of 24. We were locking loans at this low point here. We've got room to drop down to see them go lower. And we're just so you can get an idea, when we look at mortgage-backed securities in September, let me make this a little smaller for a minute. Here we go. Mortgage-backed securities back when the high point of September here, they were all the way up. I mean, you're looking at 101.56, so about 150 basis points higher than where we're at right now. So there's definitely, we're nowhere near seeing the rates that we saw back here in September of last year, but we're definitely going to see rates similar to what we saw earlier in the year and the better rates there. So, all right, my friends, well, let's take a look and see what your choice of cookies was. If you didn't answer the question of the day, make sure you go ahead and answer it now. What was your favorite cookie? And let's take a look here and see. We got Snickerdoodle, Derek Bobadilla, peanut butter or oatmeal raisin. Jonathan Steele trying to rub my nose in it. Well, dude, send me some. I'll get you my address. I'll trade you for some swag, Originator Success or other company swag. Snickerdoodle, Derek, homemade only. Yeah. White chocolate macadamia nut, homemade. I love soft cookies too. Oatmeal raisin. Oatmeal raisin gets a bad rap, but I think it's a great cookie. Macadamia nut, Subway, raspberry cheesecake cookies. Oh, that's funny, Hanson. 2 price improvements on a Friday. Yeah, isn't that, what happened was a lot of, after that knee-jerk reaction to the jobs data, a lot of lenders did not pass that along to the rate sheets until they got confirmation that it wasn't just going to disappear in 20 minutes. Once we saw that hold and improve, that's when we saw those price improvements coming in for sure. Let's see, Sean, health bar cookies or brown butter chocolate chunk? Nice. So what are y'all talking about with Trump always asks for the world and hopes to get an island? Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, funny choice of words because he wants Greenland. But you know what? I know that it's not politically correct, but I would love to see America take over Greenland. The Dutch aren't going to stop us. I know everyone else would get all bent out of shape, but you know what? That's how the world works. There's a lot going on in Greenland, especially the metals. And rare earth metals, and we're very dependent with China. And if you're going to be tribal, I'm going to be tribal. I've been listening to a lot of the History Channel, y'all. I got to tell you, when you listen to the History Channel, you realize what we take for granted today as being civilized, but you look at what this country was founded on and what we've done. And I know that all these documentaries aren't 100% correct, but it certainly gives you a whole vibe. Put me down for the take Greenland over tribe. I know it's terrible, but I would do it. I'm okay with it. Hey, we stick our flag in it. It's ours. It's like Taiwan. So, how do you think it ended up Dutch to begin with? Do you think it was always Dutch? So, Manhattan was Dutch. Yeah. Look at it now. New York City. Look what we've done with the place. So, anyway, that's it for me, y'all. Y'all have a fantastic day. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Let me know if you guys think we should. I'm going to put that for the question of the day if I remember tomorrow. If you think we should take over Greenland, let me know. Cycle off. Should we take over Greenland? So, all right. You guys have a great one. Bye-bye.